Hey Felicia, how you doing? Ooh. Okay, hold on. There's like some can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, awesome. But yeah, thanks for coming and we had just interviewed your partner in crime for Roman Ripple. And I know you are two very distinct folks. And so that's why I wanted to interview you separately because I think you both bring so much unique perspectives into this whole like van life like
Or
living. Um, yeah, and so yeah, thanks again for coming today. And are you at the converted ambulance?
yes, I'm at my desk in the converted ambulance. It's very
Wow.
comfy inside. It's snowing a lot outside. It's about 20 degrees out there, but it's so comfy and 75 degrees inside. We are cozy.
Wow. And you don't even need like gloves right now or a hat or anything. You are
If I step out that door, I do, but right now, no, not at all.
wow, that is amazing. So actually, I'm really interested in like the history of the how you even got to the ambulance, right? Because when
Sure.
people think about van life, usually they're like, oh, maybe convert like a van or a car, or I've seen a school bus, but I've never thought of converting an ambulance. So like, how did you even think like that was a possibility?
Well, I actually started off in a car. I actually started off tent camping at music festivals. And one time it just got really hot at this one music festival. We just could not cool down. So we all escaped off to our cars for a bit of air conditioning. And once I put that seat back, I was like, oh, there's kind of a lot of space in here. And around the time I met Melissa, she introduced me to the concept of overlanding, which is self sustainable adventure travel. And so she was showing me a couple people that she followed, and I was like, I bet I could do that in my car. And I did. Like, so I went to go visit my parents, who at the time were only 9 hours away. So I could have definitely made this trip in 2 hours. But I'm sorry, in one day. I don't know where 2 hours came from. My brain. I definitely could have made that trip in one day, but I decided to stop every 2 to 3 hours and find something to do. I brought my paddleboard with me. I found lakes to go paddling in, and I made it a 2 week adventure to go there and back. And it was wonderful, but it was great for just one person. There's no way both of us were going to fit in there. So, moving further into all of these overlanding videos that I was now inundated with on YouTube, the algorithm was like, oh, you like camping? Here you go. Here's more. I noticed that there was a lot of breakdowns. Like it's just it's just a day in the life, breaking down in your vehicle because we are driving it for thousands of miles as opposed to like, a couple dozen here and there. And I noticed that the most successful people, the people who still enjoyed life after a breakdown, were the ones who knew how to fix most of the problems themselves. And a lot of people, they eliminated being stuck on the side of the road for um, hours and days on end because they knew how to at least try to figure out something to solve their problem to get them to the next town. So I said, we need a vehicle that I can learn how to work on. And I found a Jeep Commander for a really low price, and it seemed to be in good condition when we got it, bought it, and on the way home, you could hear there was some problems with it. So it was over, I think, 200,000 miles on that vehicle. And I said, well, let me go get the book for this vehicle and do the 200,000 mile service on it. And that included changing the tires, the brakes, the oil, the coolant, the sensors, all different sorts of sensors. And being up underneath that vehicle and down in the engine, it just took all the fear away. And so I also converted that vehicle into a camper for the two of us with a bed that pulled out on 500-pound door slides. And it was so cozy. We spent a whole year camping all over the place in that. And I said, okay, are we ready to hit the road like these YouTubers did? And Melissa was like, absolutely not. There's no way I can live in this. This is not enough space. And so that's really how we got to the ambulance. I needed to look at for something that had enough space for the both of us. And there's no way that I could afford a Sprinter van or a ProMaster. And I was like, okay, what type of military vehicles are out there? And I started seeing the Unimog, and I got Unimog obsessed. And I just did not see how I was going to be able to get one. So I was like, what about the poor man's Unimog? I literally typed that into YouTube, and it was like, oh, you're looking for a budget Unimog? What about an ambulance? And I looked at just maybe like two videos, and I said, that's it. That's it right there. It's spacious, it's square, it has a roll cage, it's already wired up, it's already insulated. There's very little that you have to do unless you want to. And I wanted to do it all. So that's
Wow.
how it is.
Wow, that is just such an incredible story. Just going from you were at the music festival and then now you're doing converted ambulance van life,
Now
basically.
we'll pull up to music festivals in the ambulance. It's a party.
Wow, wow. And you mentioned camping. Is this something like, did you camp a lot when you were little?
We didn't camp a lot. We camped a few times, and those few times were really impactful for me. In my head, I thought we had camped a lot, but when I asked my parents, they said no, we probably only did it twice. And then we camped in the backyard a handful of times too until that got old. But I loved being out in nature. I do remember it was hot, it was uncomfortable, but there was something about cooking over a fire, building stuff yourself, um the whole setup process. I always love the whole setup and breakdown process. I guess maybe because it's a little bit orderly, and then you can make it your own. And when I grew up and I started doing it as an adult, I really made it my own with decor and what are those little twinkle lights called, those little fairy lights, and little blow up furniture. And it was just like my home away from home.
Wow. Wow, that is just beautiful. Because I am not a big camper, but you make me want to do this. Like you make me want to do this. The way you're talking about it. Wow. Like I am just astounded at this whole idea of like off-grid living, right?
Mhm.
And now I'm like, hey, post-apocalyptic times, like I want to be in your van. You know how to build things and live off the grid. I mean, live off the land, but also not the land because you're on the road. So it's
Uh-huh.
very fascinating. You mentioned like also you're buying things here and there, and I feel like okay, not everyone has like that privilege, right? But maybe it's not privilege. Like maybe you're a good saver. Can you tell me like in order to pull off like all the repairs and things that converting that you're doing, I think a lot of people are discouraged by like how much they have to spend on
Hmm.
like convert. I mean it could be a house or like the ambulance, right? How much
Right.
money that you're gonna spend on invest on doing this. And so I was wondering like are you thinking about, do you practice like some sort of like financial fitness to make these things happen?
Listen, from the time I moved out of my parents' house, I learned how the world comes for your money. And just I, there's so many tricks to get you in debt and to keep you in debt. Things that happen that aren't even your fault. One of the things that were most impactful for me is that I needed a laptop for my college class, and I got it from Best Buy, and I put that thing on auto pay, and it auto paid one time, and they had a computer error, and it never auto paid again. And at that time, I was young, and all I did was work and attend college. I wasn't paying attention to the bank account that the money was supposed to come out of. I just knew my paycheck went in and bills came out. And 2 years later, I'm getting a call from a collections company. Their only one payment was paid, and that $700 laptop now was like $2,400 after interest and fees and collections and all of that. And it took me, on the little bit of salary that I had, 3 maybe 4 years to pay off that collections debt and fix my credit from what I felt wasn't my fault. But aside from that, life always happens to you. It comes at you fast, it comes at you slow. Life is always going to happen. And what I always did, I put off a lot of frivolous things to make sure that I could have a little bit of savings. And for a long time there, the moment I built up a savings, something happened that I had to spend the money that I saved. It was just guaranteed. Like, you save $100, and next thing you know, you need a brand new tire. Um, and now you're like, you had that $100, but now you're an extra $100 in debt because tires are not cheap. And then you make your way out of that hole. You save a little bit of money, and now you've got to go to the emergency room. Life comes at you. So this started in my 20s with learning financial fitness and putting things off until later, putting the fun things off until later. So that's probably why I didn't even start this hobby until I was into my 30s, when I was finally working a job that actually paid well. And instead of going out and spending my paycheck, and I don't want to say wildly, but just the normal way to spend your paycheck, on self-care and new clothes and the newest perfume drop, the newest sneaker drop, girls trips and all of that, I minimized how many of those things that I was doing. Like, I still enjoyed myself, but I prioritized putting money aside until finally my credit was built up, my debt was low, and I could actually afford to have a hobby. So that's why I was able to learn, like, basically use my money as tuition to learn how to do these things. And I understand that not everybody has that privilege to be able to do this while you still have a home, while you still have a job. A lot of people lose their job, they lose their house, and then they find themselves living in their car. You do what you have to do, like, to get through those struggles. Don't give up. Don't give up, because one day you will have a windfall that's going to get you back on your feet.
Wow. Wow. That's really like so important, especially in the current times, right? Where there's like a lot like very high inflation and high rent, high everything. Um and so to be able to be self-sufficient or work yourself to that, it sounds like it didn't happen overnight. And this is
Oh
something
no.
that, like, you were working on for a while. And so I really love your encouragement there. Like, you have to start somewhere, but
Hmm.
you can also have your destination of like being able to be self-reliant in this way. So
Right.
thanks for sharing that. And I'm trying also, I know one thing that also I'm interested in about your van life is how do you determine like where you go next in terms of like the routes you take? Like, oh, maybe today we'll go to like California, tomorrow we'll go to like, I don't know, Idaho, something. So like how do you determine a route, and also just thinking about the safety? Because you're both women, black women, queer black women, right? Like and some people, they may not be comfortable seeing that. Like, you're so free out there in your ambulance. And so, what kind of things do you look out for to make sure that you're both safe in your van? I mean, in your ambulance.
Hmm. So going back to the question of how do I determine our route and where we're going to go, I know we are 10 feet 4 inches high. So I know that wherever we go, we have to be very careful of bridges and low branches and all of that. So for a while there, I was using a GPS for truckers, but those come with a subscription fee, and we are currently trying to minimize our subscriptions right now. So we do stick to the highway for the most part, but how I determine where we're going to go, TikTok has been so helpful. Like, just put in the name of the city that you're in and things to do. And if you don't find something in that immediate city, you might find something pretty close by. For example, when we went down to Florida, we broke down, where was that? We broke down between the Keys and Miami, and I Homestead, Florida. I've never heard of anybody mention Homestead, Florida before. I never heard of that in my life. I said, okay. Sometimes Yelp doesn't really give you everything that you're looking for. Sometimes, Google doesn't give you all the attractions you're looking for either. I plugged in Homestead, Florida into TikTok, and it was like, hey, have you heard of this Japanese koi garden? It's only 6 miles away, girl. Get you an Uber. Go check it out. And we spent hours there, and it was gorgeous.
Wow.
And I really other people's word of mouth reviews have been the best way to figure out where to go. Because if not, I wouldn't even know what I wanted to look up. Like, I wouldn't even know that some places have natural hot springs, or this place has a to die for spa, or this restaurant has a theme that you don't want to miss. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't even know who to ask. I wouldn't even know what to Google. But like, word of mouth, getting to know the locals, and definitely, I have to repeat it, TikTok has definitely helped us out.
Wow. Wow. Yeah,
Uh,
oh, I'm sorry.
as far as safety, your head needs to be on a swivel at all times as a woman, anyways. As a woman of color, most definitely, you need to be listening, and your head needs to be on a swivel. So, listening to people's conversation as you're passing by, listening as you step out of your vehicle, and looking around. Like, you step out of a place where you parked and you thought you were the only person there, but you hear movement in the distance, or shouting or crying or some sort of alarming noise, or maybe not alarming, but a noise in general. Maybe listen, try to determine what that is. Are you safe there? Is it time to go? Always trust your gut and go when your gut tells you to go. Matter of fact, on our way to where we are here, I had been driving for several hours, and I wanted to pull over. So we found the nearest Walmart. We I think it was like 75 miles between Walmart. So we stopped at the closest one, and we got out. And as we walked from the parking lot to the Walmart, I was just like, oh, it's interesting. There's not a lot of people who look like us around here. Matter of fact, I haven't seen a single person who looks like us around here. We walk into the Walmart, and you do start to expect to see like a diversity in Walmart. I mean, it's Walmart, it's like a melting pot. This Walmart was not a melting pot at all. It was all one color, and the color was not us. And so I'm just like, okay, all right, interesting. But the looks that we were getting were also interesting, like far too curious. Nobody looked at us like, oh my God, they're gonna rob the place. Nothing like that. But there was no outward friendliness to us whatsoever. There was no you give them a slight wave, slight nod. There was no slight waves, no slight nods back. The kids looked at us like they've never seen anything like us at all. And so as we were walking down one of the aisles to get some products that we needed, I was starting to wonder if we were in a sundown town, and it was approaching evening. So if we were in a sundown town, we needed to go ahead and make moves to keep going. So I Googled a sundown town interactive map. I think I found it on Reddit. If you want the link to that, I can find it.
Yeah, no, that would be interesting to look at.
Yes, it gives you a range of not likely to very likely. And the town that we were in was very likely, like solid red on the map. So we went ahead and purchased our products and hopped in the ambulance. We were already tired, but we drove another hour and a half, 2 hours down the road till we found something that was not in that map and felt a lot safer. We still have a story to tell about that night, but I'm glad we're here to even tell you about it.
Wow. Wow. I'm glad you are here in 2025
Right.
to share this story. But that is just so real.
Mhm.
And I think I'm glad that somebody compiled this map, you
Oh,
know. Um, and I think like, like thinking about everything you've told me, um, the value of like testimonials from other people, right? Because like this whole map that you're talking about, it's potentially life-saving
yes.
for
Yes.
you or for others. And then even like when you were stuck in that random town in Florida, again, the word of mouth, but through TikTok, it's like astoundingly super helpful.
Yes.
And I feel like back in the day, if we didn't have these platforms, the social media platforms, um, you wouldn't be able to like get this word of mouth because usually there's if you just do it in person, there has to be a trust that has to be built.
Yes.
That might need time, right? And if you're literally just like hopping into town, like I don't know anybody here, and like they're not like who do you know there that can really share this information freely? But then
Hmm.
we have people on TikTok, on YouTube, on Reddit, just freely sharing like their experiences and information. And so that trust that usually is like necessary for like the more traditional word of mouth, the way we
Hmm.
think of word of mouth. Um, like that barrier is like, I guess, like not there anymore, or it's not as high of a barrier. I think that's beautiful. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can talk to you like for days and days. Uh,
Right.
but I do like appreciate all your insights and I don't know. I guess is there anything you'd like to share with people who are even remotely interested in having this overlanding kind of life?
Yeah, we run into people all the time. They look at the completed ambulance and the first thing out of their mouth was, "Oh, I wish I had something like that, but all I've got is my car, or all I got is this, or all I've got is that, or it would take me too long to save up to get all these things that you have." Girl, my biggest word of advice for everybody is to start with what you have. If you don't have a car and you like being outdoors, grab your backpack, grab your Aldi bag, grab your grocery bag, put some snacks in there, and go for a little hike. If you like to tent camp, you know, grab the cheapest tent that you can that's appropriate for the weather and go camp overnight somewhere. And if it makes you nervous thinking about going into nature by yourself, camp in your backyard and just get used to the nature sounds. Like just start with what you have. Like we did not outfit this with brand new items in the beginning. We outfitted it with the appliances that I had in my house. We still are using a lot of appliances that I had from my house. So that is one less thing that we had to buy. We use scrap material. We use scrap projects from when I used to do all these Pinterest projects at home. So yes, basically start with what you have. I started in a tent. And then I moved up to my existing car. Melissa had a truck that she built a truck camper on top of. And then she built out of scrap material that she had either from work or laying around her house. Um, until we got to a point where, hey, we have an extra bit of cash. We've been wanting this one thing. Let's go ahead and buy it. So we didn't accumulate this, we didn't win the lottery and then decide to just start dropping cash. And then maybe like assess where you are in life. And do you need the stuff that you have? Do you need to go on every trip that you want to? Because if you assess where you're spending money, you might actually have extra money if you skip one trip or you skip one fun purchase. You might actually have the money to get something else. So yeah, my biggest advice: start with what you have.
Wow. Wow. Well, I know I'm gonna take your advice, even just for me. Yeah. Yeah. It's like very relatable. That's something I need to hear for 2025. So yeah, but thank you again. And I hope wherever y'all go this year or this week, You stay safe, and I guess I'll be seeing you in the AMBO.
All right. Yes, check
Yeah.
us out in Roman Road. Follow our adventures. See you. It was nice to talk to you.
Yeah. Thank you. You too.